Here. Dude, I got cat fur all over me. It's kind of annoying. What's up, chat? What's up, everybody? What's up, the world? Happy Saturday, March 13th, 2021. Cat fur is annoying. I just feel so itchy. But we're good. We're Gucci, man. How are you guys doing out there? Hopefully you guys had a super solid night. A noche. We'll go through some of the results here in a second. Some of you guys hit me up on Twitter last night. There were some winners, man. Some winners. I don't want to put people. I got some fun DMs too, man. Really, really cool DM. I don't want to put anybody's business out there. You know, tax season, but I saw a $20 turn into over $10,000 last night, and that's what we like to see. So shout out to everyone who won some bank last night. If you had the game theory Jones to go Nikola Jokic over Joel Embiid, then man, oh man, did that pay off. And it's simple pivots like that, leverage pivots that can go a long way. Last night, Joel Embiid not only got injured, but he was in the he was just in a blowout. So he ended up only playing 20 minutes, was crushing. He was 2 points per minute. But between a blowout and between getting injured, he ended up falling shy of value. And then if you had the pivot, the access, the exposure to Jokic. He dropped 62. Jimmy dropped 52. So my highest owned players last night were Butler, Embiid, Colin Sexton. So I thought I was going to have like a maybe at best like break-even night, but I had a whole lot of Kyle Kuzma, who was 0.5% owned. Like he was like 1% or less on a lot of my stuff. I was like, oh, okay. And then, Kuzma kind of bailed me out there, had a monster game. I also had a little bit of Brogdon on FanDuel at 6.6. But Kuzma dropped 45.75. So he really came through, wanted me to be great last night. The big beast last night, though, Jokic 62.75. Jimmy Butler, 10 fantasy points behind him at 52. Donovan Mitchell, that Houston game, 18-point spread. Ended up essentially going 4 quarters, so you got a lot of playing time out of the Utah Jazz, and of course all the Rockets chalk value were must plays. I think we saw some obscene Kevin Porter Jr. stuff, like 95+%. It was rough. Zach LaVine 51. Kevin Porter Jr., 47.75, and if you don't know, well, now you know. 38 minutes from him, a beast, just an absolute beast. Hopefully, the next time he shows up on a slate, he'll be 6-7K, because he's got that type of talent. And then, like I said, Kuzma is the one that brought me to the dance. Westbrook got 33 minutes, blowout 45. I had a lot of Westbrook as well to run back my Embiid, so I was never sweating any tournaments last night, but Kyle Kuzma brought me to the profit dance, and I appreciate you, Kyle. Kenyon Martin, 38. It was, no surprises, right? Blowouts and injuries. What are you going to do? How'd you guys do, chat? You guys make it out alive. Shout out to Quan, ACP, Giuliano. Got the warm and fuzzies. Let's go. Had the King and Embiid. It was tough. Kuzma was a GTD on FanDuel until tip-off. Yeah. I mean, don't go off of FanDuel stuff, though. But I get it. Like, it's hard to confidently click a name. But I even had Kuzma on my top DK stuff. Like, I'm not saying Kuzma should have been locked by any stretch, but to see Kuzma at 1% or less without AD, I was like, I'm not used to that, right? I'm just not used to that. And yeah, he exploded in the fourth quarter, so it is what it is. But his greatness was good for me and profitable. So hopefully we move on to tonight's slate and we continue the momentum. We got 7 games on the docket. Should be a fun one. We got Nets hosting Pistons, Wizards hosting the Bucks, Hornets hosting the Raptors, and the Raptors are still short and they're still underpriced. The Hawks hosting the Kings, the T-Wolves hosting the Blazers, the Nuggets hosting the Mavericks. Jokic is questionable. Phoenix Suns hosting the Pacers. So we got a couple of decent games. Should be some decent scoring games. I think today's slate will be rather high scoring. I do think there's some fun must-have value. I think there's some fun lock plays. Like Norman Powell should not be 7K right now. I don't know. So we'll chop every game up here. You know how we do. Let's go check out the Fantasy Labs 3 p.m. tweet, as we do every day. Jokic questionable. Devin Booker probable. Monte Morris questionable. Davis Bertans got injured yesterday. I'm not saying that didn't help the blowout, but it didn't help the blowout. Jarrett Culver, doubtful. That might open up some more. Jalen Noel today, who was a popular play and a great play last time out. Anything else here? Nothing else to go off of. There is a game going on from the early slate, so it's kind of discombobulating some of the feed there. What's up, Damien? How you doing, bro? Let me check the Discord one more again. All right, no Raj, that's fine. We can do this. We got this. Easy slate, easy does it. We're good though, right? No Bane money. And yeah, all right, you guys hit that thumbs up for me, and let's get going. Game number 1, Brooklyn Nets hosting the Detroit Pistons. Project starting 5 for the Pistons: DeLon Wright, Wayne Ellington, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee. Taking on James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan. We got 226 total, 11.5-point spread in favor of the home team, Brooklyn Nets. The Detroit Pistons traded Svi Mikhailiuk for Hamidou Diallo and a second-round pick. Or vice versa. Svi Svi in the second-round pick for Ham Diallo to the Thunder. So that might open up some Svi minutes, and we may not get Diallo just yet. Usually you don't play instantly. So that might give us a little bit safer minute projection on DeLon Wright. Some of these guards, Wayne Ellington, a little bit of a revenge game. Saban Lee has an opportunity here. Josh Jackson. So plenty of playable names here. You think this game might trend a little bit closer to small ball. Should be up and paced, down in defense. I like the price points overall for just about every Piston. Obviously, we've seen this season there's not going to be a consistent get there together approach from the Pistons more often than not, and I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it means individually, DeLon Wright at 5'5" looks like a fine play. Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, they all profile well, even Josh Jackson. Like, they all seem like, yeah, in this matchup they can get there, but if you throw them all in a lineup, they're all probably not going to get there. So this is going to be a scatterbrained approach for me, and I probably maybe max, lineup exposures to no more than 3, maybe 2, but no more than 3 Pistons in a lineup. On the net side, James Harden, Kyrie, put them together, get 100-plus fantasy points. That's just how we do. Brooklyn Nets defensive efficiency should be pretty poor, continuing to miss Kevin Durant. Luwawu has missed some time. He's questionable. Should be all the Pistons can desire here. I feel like all season long they've been pretty sizable dogs in some spots against big teams, and they've gone out there and scrapped and fight. So I'm not ruling out the Pistons just yet on a double-digit spread. I love the propensity of DeLon Wright to get there as a point per minute. Jeremy Grant, we saw him go absolutely bananas last slate. He's just going to be an inconsistent fantasy play, but he's going to absolve the most usage on the team and likely play the most minutes. 49 fantasy points against the Charlotte Hornets, shot over 20 shot attempts, and I think that's something we might expect today. So at 7.7K, he's going to look good. I will say in that 7K area, there is a lot of potential. Like I said, Norman Powell's in that range as well, so I probably would have Norman Powell ranked higher than Grant just based on the floor, but certainly don't hate Jeremy Grant here. And then Mason Plumlee, he's in a great spot to drop 30-plus fantasy points. We've seen 2 triple-doubles from him this season, and against this Nets team, their their rebound rate right now is really, really poor. They're very undersized, so if the Pistons decide to stay big for as long as possible, then Plumlee should be a point per minute and do just fine, and likely give you a minimum of a double-double. So I like a lot of names here. Harden and Kyrie really the first and only names I'm gravitating to on the Nets. I guess it's a Bruce Brown revenge game. Not really put a ton of stock in that one. And then maybe some Claxton off the bench if you did buy into a blowout. And I'm really not going to, I want to attack some Svi Mikhailiuk minute absence. And really, Saban Lee's the only guy I can be all right, we've seen him drop 30. Maybe I go to him. And Josh Jackson's still a guy that we've seen be point per minute. But I do think the deeper we dig, a little bit more volatile than I want it to be. But I will be fine combing through the Pistons as over and over as we get closer to lock. Let's get caught up on chat here. What's up, Josh? Been killing on Yahoo. Let's go. Chris, you like Theo Maledon? I think he's all right. I'm not gonna go extra. You're talking about just from in the Thunder game sense. Do the Thunder like Theo Maledon? Sure. I don't know. I don't need to like him, right? Did you see everybody going ham for your baseball knowledge? Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I definitely got a lot of new followers, a lot of tags yesterday. So maybe something comes of that. Josh says Bembry returning to his hometown where his brother was murdered. Yeah, that's tough. What's up, Lorenza? You doing all right? Let's go. All right, next game on the docket. Washington Wizards hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. Project starting 5 for the Bucks. Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez taking on Russell Westbrook. Bradley Beal, Garrison Matthews, Rui Hachimura, Mo Wagner. Wizards, night 2 of a back-to-back, hosting the Bucks. They got spanked last night, and they are double-digit dogs here tonight against the Giannis and the gang. Drew Holiday back. Looks like he's not on a restriction. Still doesn't mean he's going to play 38 minutes just yet. But it doesn't look like they're babysitting him. Not a whole lot to believe in the Wizards here. I think a big piece of their bench scoring, especially in this matchup, Davis Bertans, a guy that can shoot threes efficiently. They're going to be without that. And there's not a whole lot here to put a lot of stock in the Wizards to keeping this close, unless like Beal just has a can't miss night. So I'm probably going to be a little lighter on Westbrook. We've even seen Westbrook chill on some back-to-backs earlier this season, and Bradley Beal was questionable going into the game yesterday. So I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen some news already on one or the other chilling here, because Bradley Beal, I mean, they had a contingency plan all set up. They were going to start Bertans if Beal couldn't play. So the fact that they're both like so far set up to go without question, a little bit surprising, but maybe that'll change between now and tip-off. Hard to love anything on the Wizards here. Got to believe in this game being a little closer to lopsided, and you got to go up there and get them at this prices. Maybe that makes them extremely lucrative leverage-wise. More of a scoring responsibility, I think, on Bradley Beal, right? If you want to say this game does stay close, Bradley Beal has to have a monster game. Mo Wagner could be a foul magnet here. Rui Hachimura, I don't really necessarily love his spot. On the Bucks side, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11-3, 11K. He's been 60-plus fantasy points more than he hasn't. Jokic is questionable, so there might be some salary that goes his way, especially in that center spot, $200 gap. If people were planning on playing Jokic, maybe he gets a little bit more ownership. I definitely have no pushback on playing Giannis, even if it does blow out. There's still a chip in a chair for him to go get you that 60 fantasy points. He's averaging 60 on the road this season. So yeah, no pushback here on Giannis. The Wizards offer really just a great matchup for every position. So if you can put 30-plus minutes on guys like Middleton as well, and I think Middleton will fall short on ownership versus the Norman Powell versus the Jeremy Grant at that price range. He's definitely somebody that can get you over 40 fantasy points. If you did buy into maybe this game getting a little lopsided, I think Bobby Portis makes a lot of sense. 4-3, 4-1. He doesn't need much to get you a solid ROI on this salary. And I think 30-plus fantasy points really would not stun me. And maybe it's a little bit of a ceiling per what his minute projection is, maybe about 20. But definitely we've seen him just be a PPM monster. And a lot of games lately are not this type of pace-up spot. The Wizards do run might be the fastest pace in basketball right now. And there's not many teams that run a faster pace than the Milwaukee Bucks. Wizards have, the number one pace. So this should be a really good opportunity for Bobby Portis to slide in at 4-3, 4-1 and really, really put up some solid fantasy points. The Wizards really bad at rebounding. They don't have any bigs. And this team should the Bucks should be playing with a decent lead here. So if I can get 20 minutes of Portis in this spot, I'm a buyer. Any comparable paces lately? Not really any comparable paces, but I guess there's some comparable porous defenses. Sacramento, Minnesota, New Orleans. You're right, 25-plus at 4-1, I'd take it, and I do think 30-plus isn't an obscene range of outcome. Let's get caught up on you guys in chat. What are you guys doing with this one? Juliano says this game is a trap, only Beal. I mean, if you're going to play Beal, then it sounds like you might be betting on Beal having one of those 40-plus point games and losing. I think that's fine, but if Beal's right there at the same price as Westbrook, who per minute is as efficient floor-wise for accruing fantasy points, I don't really see a only Beal, not Westbrook case here. I do think they're both expensive, and they both have their role here. I think Westbrook in this pace will be stuffing his stat sheet, hopefully hitting a couple shots, but he'll be feeding Bradley Beal just as well. So I think if you put this game staying more competitive than maybe the spread suggests, then yeah, Bill should have a really, really high scoring game, because there's really not anyone else on the squad I can see contributing to what the Wizards would need. And usually against the Bucks, if you want to stay competitive, you need some guy that can hit threes efficiently, and that would have been Davis Bertans all all day long, all day strong. What's up, Shane? What's up, Darren? That's it, right? Okay. I thought chat lagged for a second. Don't play Beal. He's trying to play through an injury. He showed last night. It showed last night, but also Matisse Thybulle is a little bit of a problem on defense, right? So he had a little bit of both. But like I said, I'm actually kind of surprised that the Wizards haven't put one or both of these guys on ice for tonight. This is a tough back-to-back, and Beal was, he was a true game-time decision last night. So maybe between now and lock, there's a chance that one or the other gets ruled out. If one or the other gets ruled out, I'm not touching the Wizards likely, and I probably just bank on a blowout, and then I probably go get as much Bobby Portis as I can handle. Fun brother narrative, I guess. Brook Lopez might see some time against his brother, Robin Lopez. We've seen that several times in the past couple of years. Nothing to run to, but maybe Robin Lopez gets up here against his old brother for 24 minutes. I don't think that's an insane projection at 3,400. Maybe he fills 20-plus fantasy points. And that's all I got to say about that. Charlotte Hornets hosting Toronto Raptors. This game's also right there at lock. Probably my favorite team stack so far, the Raptors. Project 35 for the Raptors. Kyle Lowry, Norman Powell, DeAndre Bembry, Stanley Johnson, Aaron Baines taking on LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, and Cody Zeller. We got 234 total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the home team. Charlotte Hornets. Raptors still without OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, 3 starters. Also, no Malachi Flynn and no Patrick McCaw. So they're still shorthanded, and we have not really seen the prices adjust appropriately for the 3 main guys I like to play, and that's Norman Powell, that's Chris Boucher, and it's Kyle Lowry. And those will be 3 guys I gravitate towards easily today. And I would also say Aaron Baines is probably getting super disrespected, all things considered. I mean, he should not be this cheap. We've seen 3 or 4 games now in this scenario where he's getting deep minutes and putting up decent fantasy production. 30 and 29 minutes his last 2 games. You get 30 minutes at under 5K against the Charlotte Hornets, and especially on FanDuel where he's 3,900. That's flirting with 8 to 10x potential. So the Raptors team stack certainly something that I see myself making a foundation tonight. And then, like I said, Chris Boucher is a point per minute monster and actually exploded, I believe, in the second half of last game for a super solid fantasy point game. I don't really think there's any pushback against these guys. 30, 35, 25, 28 minutes for Boucher last 4 games, and you see likely a point per minute more than he's not. A double-digit shot attempts last couple games, and usually picks up enough peripherals, especially stocks for FanDuel, to be a problem. 29 and 30 real points the last 2 games. So not much to dislike here. Maybe you could argue Kyle Lowry is at a price point where he doesn't he's not automatic to hit or exceed value, right? 40 wouldn't break or make a slate at 8,700, but the floor is still there to kind of lead the stack. Double-digit assist in 3 of his last 4 games, and does have a legitimate shot of a triple-double, and the minutes for him, 39, 40 minutes, that's actually stupid. And the fact that they're the road dogs here, we should keep their minutes really, really deep. So I like a lot about the Raptors. On the Hornets side, LaMelo Ball, he's dipping a little bit. He was at 9K. With Devontae Graham back in the mix, you might not put those 36, 37-minute projections on all the guards. They might rotate breaks, so maybe that lowers the ceiling just a little bit. But I wouldn't. Like, if you came at me with lineups that had any of these Hornets, decent home total, like I wouldn't really push back. I think Gordon Hayward has a case, Rozier, LaMelo, they all have strong cases. The Raptors struggled this season at defending the 3 or giving up points via the 3 ball, and the Hornets will chuck some 3s. We definitely have seen Terry Rozier have double-digit 3-point attempt games, and we know Devontae Graham will chuck 3. So would not surprise me at all if any of these Hornets, especially I could see 2 or 3 of these Hornets running back against the Raptors Raptors. PJ Washington was a little bit of a stunner for me last time out with all these people back. His price is a little bit uncomfortable unless you can really, really sell me on PJ getting 40-plus fantasy points 40% of the time. I'd probably be out, but 41-38 his last 2 games, 9 rebounds. So the rebound numbers are a little bit higher than we've seen them be with Zeller and Biyombo in the mix. I think there might be some regression on those numbers, but we'll see. And then somebody mentioned in chat DeAndre Bembry heading back. So maybe there's some narrative to get behind there. The minutes have certainly been there for him and Stanley Johnson, but the results are very inconsistent, right? Beal on the trade block, maybe. I don't know what to make of the Wizards, but I would assume they're answering phone calls on Beal and Westbrook, but I don't know if they're actively shopping. But of course, we would all like to see Beal go to a Stark team. Lorenzo said he got deep minutes against Boston and the Hawks. They played 2 bigs. They would be back to split rotation. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Baines. But I also, remember, there's no Siakam. He's the guy that can stretch out to their 5 spot a little bit, especially him and Boucher. So I don't Matt Thomas maybe? I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of push. And I don't even need Baines to play 30 minutes, to be honest. If Baines got 25 here, 24, I think at that price, there's still a chip in a chair for value, right? Give me some Gordon. You like some Gordon Hayward? Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I got to fix PJ Washington. There's several players in the league where different sites, different stat sources, pricing CSVs, none of them seem to add up for a couple guys. And a lot of it is PJ, TJ, CJ. Some sites will put the periods in between the letters. And then yesterday we had Kenyon Martin Jr. and then KJ Martin. It was, I don't know. But PJ is one of those guys that some stat providers will list him without the the periods. So that's why it's coming up NA on the stat sheet. I'll fix that. Make a mental note. Giuliano says, I know you're getting to it, but Jamal Murray looking like he's in a good bounce back spot. Yeah, I don't mind Jamal. Especially if Jokic ends up out, then I'd really be on Jamal. Otherwise, I do think they have kind of a deep rotation, and Jamal gets back to being a little bit more volatile than he had been on that little stretch of 50 real points, right? Let's move on to the next game here. Sacramento Kings at the Atlanta Hawks. Project starting 5 for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, Rashawn Holmes taking on Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Tony Snell, John Collins, Clint Capella. We got 239 total. Massive totals going on today. 4-point spread. Favor the home team Atlanta Hawks. And we're dealing with 2 teams that are pretty bad on defense. And we've seen that in a couple games so far. But when it comes to defensive efficiency, the Sacramento Kings continue to be the best of the worst. 119.1 points per 100 possessions. And the Atlanta Hawks bottom 10 as well. So plenty of implied real points, plenty of implied fantasy points to go around, and we have pretty solid minute projections to put on several players here. I think De'Aaron Fox, I was lower on him last night than I deserved to be, or that I should have been. He was one of the best point guard plays. I'll go to him today. I got him sitting at 37 minutes. I think in this spot, in this matchup, that should pay off just fine. Harrison Barnes, 7K. It's an uncomfortable price to pay from what we know Barnes the last couple seasons, but 40-plus fantasy points is not out of the range of outcomes. Buddy Hield's another uncomfortable click. Really, every King is in play, I think, in the starting 5, and then Tyrese Halliburton kind of working his way back. I don't see myself getting a 7K Halliburton. That's a little egregious, especially when Norman Powell exists. I probably don't go to the bench, but I will have scattered exposure to the King starters. And then on the Hawks side, Trae Young's just in a super smash spot, 50, 60 fantasy points, well within the range of outcome here. It is a revenge game for Bogdan Bogdanovic. They announced on the last slate that he would not have a minutes limit. And then, of course, everyone maybe overreacted to that, thought that maybe that meant he would be 30, 35 minutes. It just kind of meant that they weren't going to babysit him. He only played 17 minutes less than the game prior, but he isn't on a minutes restriction. So if you thought that they could use him here or that this game script would go his way, 20, 25 minutes of Bogdanovic at near min price certainly could pay off in deep fill tournaments. Clint Capella, John Collins, both in really, really elite spots, and we haven't seen Capella really and Collins be this collectively cheap. Put them together for 14K on DraftKings. There's a world where they both live, and I think Capella could be a potential slate breaker at 7,500. I got 30 minutes on him, averaging 14 and 14, and this is definitely a spot where you can pick up some extra peripherals. He's also averaging 2 blocks per game, so Capella easily could be the highest scoring center on the slate, especially if Jokic ends up getting arrested for the day. 43, 48, 54 in 3 of his last 4 games. There's a 32 in there, but that's at Miami. That was a low-scoring, grindy game. I'm fine with going back to the well here on Capella, and I think this is really the cheapest we've seen Clint Capella since February 17th. So 40-plus fantasy points. I love people against the Kings. They're just such a bad defense. Off the bench, Danilo Gallinari, also playable for me. I got him at 29 minutes. That's actually more minutes than I had projected for starter Tony Snell, who called game against the Toronto Raptors. We've seen him drop 50 fantasy points in 2 of his last 10, I believe. So know that there's a range of outcomes that Gallo breaks a slate, 30, 51, 55. It's a very wide range of outcomes. The floor-ceiling ratio is really, really ridiculous. But going against the league worst defense, got to believe that there's plenty of propensity at 5,700 for him to 30, 40 fantasy point his way against the league worst defense. See what you guys got on this one before we move on. Love Capella, my number 1 on the slate. Capella, yeah, I definitely don't disagree with that at all. I think Capella, Trae Young would be my favorite handcuff, and I would be willing to kind of start them off in a tier 1 capacity when it comes to setting some exposure levels. I think they might combine for 100+ fantasy points. So very cheap access to 100 fantasy points, right? So plenty of 50s and 60s in his game log. It is the Kings. Gun, one question. Would you go on a FanDuel tournament? Would you go Barton and Hield or Porter and Herter? So I think Kevin Herter's minutes are going backwards now that Bogey and Gallo are kind of unlocked. And assuming you're talking about Michael Porter, Michael Porter is interesting, but I would say that's going to rely on the Jokic information and what I'm saying, if Jokic is going to play or not. If Jokic does play at 7K, there is a world where he just drops mid 30s or even high 20s and 7K that kills you. So Barton and Hield, man, I don't know. That's a great 2v2. Hield is a cheap exposure to one of the higher total games. Hield's of course going to chuck a lot, but with Halliburton back, I don't know. Hield is very volatile, but there's a couple strong games lately, but Halliburton missed a bunch of those games. So what's the median range of outcomes for Hield at 35 minutes, 34, 35 minutes against the Atlanta Hawks? I think he's going to chuck 18 to 20 shots regardless, and they're mostly going to be from behind the arc. And the Hawks are actually better than expected at guarding the 3. Man, that is such a toss-up. And Barton is extremely, extremely thin if Jokic is in. So I guess Porter. Man, Barton and Herter probably have the same range of outcomes. Dude, probably second, but I don't have confidence there. I hate to bail out that, but that's closer to a coin flip than I thought. Barnes, Porter Jr., Norman Powell, all $27 on Yahoo ranked them. Norman Powell, easily number one. Easily number one. And then Porter, I think Porter for me would be pretty contingent on the status of Jokic. Dallas is also top 4 in restricting opposing small forwards to fantasy points. So it's not even a great matchup for Porter. So it would be Powell 1 and then probably Barnes and then Porter. But Porter's usage definitely could spike here if Jokic is out and things change a little bit. So I would kind of reserve my ability to say Porter over Barnes if Jokic was out, but right now it would easily be Norman Powell. He's like a mile that way in first, and then Barnes, and then Porter based on what the information I have right now. Let's move on to the next game. Blazers at the T-Wolves. Project starting 5 for the Blazers. Damian Lillard, Gary Trent Jr., Derek Jones Jr., Robert Covington, and they hate us because they ain't us. Cantor taking on Ricky Rubio, crossing over with Anthony Edwards, Jake Layman, Jared Vanderbilt, and Karl Anthony Towns, the big cat. Ernie Ladd, we got a 234.5 total, another high total game, and another game featuring 2 of the worst defenses in basketball. The Portland Trail Blazers are 3rd in defensive efficiency, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are 6th. So a lot of high-scoring games projected today. Damian Lillard, the cover boy on FanDuel, sub 10K, 50 to 60 fantasy points seems like a low projection. Cantor's in a good spot to maybe get you 30, 40 fantasy points. Robert Covington's playing deep minutes. He did sit in Minnesota for a cup of coffee, so I don't mind looking at him. And Carmelo could, 30 fantasy point game here as well. And then Gary Trent. Gary Trent's kind of gone backwards in terms of fantasy viability lately, but I still think double-digit shot attempts are there for him. 16, 11, 16. So I do think coming soon there's going to be a game where he pops as his price starts depressing more and more. 30-plus fantasy points, definitely not an anomalic venture for him. The T-Wolves, Anthony Edwards and Cat, probably my 2 favorite options here. I think they're a really strong handcuff. Anthony Edwards, we talked about it last slate. I mean, this guy at this price was hitting value while shooting horrendously. 22, 23, 22, 22 shot attempts, and just not efficient, under 50%, under 40%. So there's going to be a game where he just catches fire, and last game was kind of an example of what happens if he gets to near 30 points, 40 fantasy points. So Edwards is likely going to be one of my higher owned shooting guards on the slate, and I would probably rank him. Somebody asked about Buddy Hield. I would probably have more Anthony Edwards than Buddy Hield, and I will have more Anthony Edwards than Buddy Hield because I just think his floor is going to be substantially higher. Buddy Hield could get lost in the sauce because all of these starting 5 for the Kings have good matchups, whereas Anthony Edwards could lead the team in shot attempts and definitely got him leading the team in minutes. And we know D'Angelo Russell's out. We know Jarrett Culver, I think we just said he was doubtful, right? So with those guys down, Anthony Edwards could, I think him and Norman Powell are just going to soak up some of the highest exposures that I'm going to have today. So I'm leaning those 2. Jalen Noel, I think we should acknowledge with Culver down. I think he's the next guard to benefit. I still think this is more volatile than maybe we want to accept as we load slowly. Make sure we live, right? Okay. But 28 minutes for him against the Pelicans. Pelicans, another porous defense. Dropped a smooth 50 bomb. everything went great, like perfect. Like he's the opposite of what Edwards is. He shot 84%, 6 for 7 from downtown. So understand that he had a really, really, really near perfect game to drop that 50 bomb. But I think the minutes and the usage will still be there for him. And at 4,600, I'm okay with near half of that, right? If you got me a 25, I feel like that'll play. So I don't mind grabbing some shares of Noel. Ricky Rubio's a chip in a chair for 30 fantasy points. I don't mind that. And then you spin the wheel, make a deal. Nasri, Jared Vanderbilt, all guys that can get there for you. It's just a matter of do they get the minutes. So if I was grabbing pieces in this game to start at a tier 2 or higher, it'd probably be Damian Lillard, Anthony Edwards, and then Cat's in the mix. But I may not get to as much Cat as I want because I do think I'm going to have a whole lot of Clint Capella. But I definitely will have Cat in the mix for sure. See what you guys got on this one before we move on. Lorenzo said you could just stack this game. Portland ain't blowing no one out. Yeah. Minnesota, don't forget, Minnesota coming off a 30-point win. Matter of fact, let's put some let's just revisit the minutes Minnesota played that game because a 30-point blowout maybe went a little bit different minute-wise in the fourth quarter. Nasri closed out. Probably doesn't close a full fourth because Cat didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter. Jalen Noel closed out. Maybe Noel got 4 or 5 more minutes than he would in a competitive game. And Anthony Edwards did get a bunch of fourth quarter time. So seems like he's good to go in a lopsided game. So, yeah. Yeah. Gunn, can you run Rubio's numbers versus Portland last 5? Sure. Ricky Rubio. DKP by game log versus. Let's just go against Dame. Lillard last. Let's go last 5 games. Dame Dollar. 32, 40, 38, 46, 49. Only one of those games are this season, but he dropped 30 this season. So doubled. Or he didn't double. He just had 10 assists. 2 real points. Still dropped 30. You love to see that. Yeah, I like Rubio, Edwards, and Cat as kind of like my core 3 exposures for the T-Wolves, but I wouldn't have as much Rubio on DK at 5.7. I feel like 30 is a little bit more of my requirement, right? Let's move on to the next game here. Denver Nuggets hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Project starting 5 for the Mavs. Luka Doncic, Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, and Kristaps Porzingis taking on Jamal Murray, Monte Morris, Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic. We got a 225 total, a 1.5 point spread for the Dallas Mavericks. The Nuggets, night 2 of a back-to-back, and offering a slew of injury news and notes. We'll start with the top. Monte Morris has a Q tag on him. He's dealing with a left quad. Says we didn't notice an injury on Friday, so this comes as a surprise. With this being the second night of a back-to-back, the Nuggets could be cautious here. If Morris is held out, there will be a lot of minutes available for Facundo Campazzo and maybe even PJ Dozier. That's a blurb from NBC Sports Edge. We got Gary Harris, RJ Hampton down. Jermichael Green's probable. Zeke Nnaji, late scratch last night, probable tonight. And then Nikola Jokic dealing with an ankle. He stepped on Kyle Anderson's ankle on Friday night, and while he was able to play through it and was moving well, Jokic said he stayed in the game to keep the ankle from getting stiff. There's a good chance the ankle swelled up overnight, so the Nuggets may want to see how it responds in warm-ups before making the call. If Jokic is unable to play, Isaiah Hartenstein would be the next man up for Denver, with Bol also being a possibility for minutes. So, yeah, the status of Jokic certainly big in terms of what it would do for the usage fluctuation on the Nuggets team. The Hartenstein didn't play for Dallas, right? He played for Houston. It's just one in my head. So I guess let's do some due diligence here and just kind of see what the Nuggets look like without Jokic, just to be prepared. The fact that it's 1.5 point spread makes me Feel like maybe nothing, but just as is, Jokic is sustaining a 30% usage rate. Jamal Murray at 25.5% on the season. If we just go ahead and take Jokic off, remember there's still other guys that are out. Gary Harris, they're not really going to impact the use as much, but we just take Jokic off. The usage for Jamal Murray goes to 27%, so there's a 2% bump there. If we start. Anyone else? If we take Gary off, that's really it, I guess. No one else is really going to shake things up. Gary does represent a decent chunk of minutes, though, so we'll take Gary off. See what that does. Looks like it's going to just spread out the responsibility a little bit more. Jamal Murray goes to 27% when I do that. About a fantasy point per minute for everyone involved here, so maybe tapered expectations. I would imagine Jamal gets really, really trendy in the absence of Jokic. I'm fine with the justification for that. Going to play deep minutes. But like I said, at this price point, I mean, I still probably play Norman Powell over him just for the safety. But I wouldn't talk you guys down. I think it sounds like a lot of you guys are already having to meditate and make decisions on MPJ, on Will Barton. So I don't mind that. If we get a scenario where Monte Morris and Jokic is down, certainly means that Murray would probably go up even higher, right? What happens if I take Monte Morris off in that scenario? He goes from 27 to 33%. So, yeah, if we isolate that scenario. Now, it's less than 100-minute sample size, so we don't want to get too crazy. But, yeah, he would definitely be the de facto leader in everything with a 16.7% assist rate thus far. So, yeah, I wouldn't talk you off of the Jamal Murray ledge. But still, it's going to be surprisingly one of the lower scoring games that we're discussing so far. It is at night 2 of a back-to-back. I'm fine with just like projecting everyone as average plays and maybe getting some tier 3 exposure. If Jokic does play, that creates a really, really, really tough decision. 11-7, 10-8, right? We don't have as much value today as we did yesterday. Yesterday was just free square Sunday with the Houston Rockets presenting the short bench and the low prices. Today, Jokic, you can make a case that if Jokic got 60 or less, you can go balanced, pretty balanced. We talked about Clint Capella maybe having 50 fantasy point potential. I don't hate Mason Plumlee. Chris Boucher has 50 fantasy point potential. So, if Jokic has got a flat tire on night 2 of a back-to-back, and did play anyway, I might be able to justify just fading the Nuggets and hoping I win elsewhere. On the Mavs side, Luka off of a little bit of rest here, 10-4, 10-6. I'm not pushing back on Luka. It might be one of those nights where people are down on Luka, just based on what the heck was that? Just based on we got a hoodie purchase. Shout out to Skrill Ticket, man. Got himself one of those Run DFS hoodies. Enjoy it. Luka would get no ownership likely, right? And I don't mean, you know what I mean by no, right? Like Damian Lillard probably a little bit higher than Luka. James Harden maybe neck and neck. Trae Young's going to be more trendy. Maybe the Raptors pull away. Luka could be like the Jokic from yesterday, right, where everyone played Embiid, everyone plays Dame. Maybe Luka comes out here and drops that 60, 70 fantasy points. So check that out if you're into the Cajon play at the top end of the point guard spot. Because I think right now my mind is just salivating to go full-on balanced. Porzingis 7'9", 8'3". If you get 40+, you get 40+. Luka's probably the only person from this game as is that I'm probably going to lean on. Let's see what you guys got in the live chat before we move on. Hi, did you go to the gym today? Okay, what? We haven't banned that account yet? Get out of here. Who's your favorite center today on Yahoo? That's a great question. So let's go to the player projections tab in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. And let's go to Yahoo position because I don't really know the Yahoo salary right now. So let's pull it up on Yahoo. Jokic, we got $42 on Cat, 36 on Capella. 25 on Boucher. Still probably leaning Boucher and Capella. Plumlee being the same price as Boucher is kind of interesting, but I'm probably leaning Boucher. And then Bobby Portis, $2 above min price. I think that's a really, really, really good. Yo, Skrill, did you buy another hoodie? Shout out to Skrill Ticket. I think Bobby Portis could be an extremely good value play there on Yahoo. $2 above min price. I think if you put that game blowing out, man, Bobby Portis could be 25, 30 Yahoo points. I got him at 21 as a baseline, or 20 as a baseline. So probably Portis, Capella, and Boucher. But that's probably my universal answer. That's where I'm at on every site, right? Lillard, Edwards, Stack, sneaky. I don't know if it's sneaky. That's definitely two names I love from that game. PJ Washington or Collins. Probably Collins. Just because I think PJ's rebounds should regress. But, yeah, probably Collins. Collins going against the worst defense. I'll take it. Is Plumlee on your radar? He's on my radar, but I do have some concerns of maybe that game going small. And maybe they push Plumlee out the way and, like, Grant. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe Plumlee's minutes aren't as safe as, some of these other centers like the Capellas and even Boucher. Like, if Boucher and Plumlee, and I don't think it's a right or wrong answer, but if you got 28 minutes of Plumlee, 30 or 28 minutes of Boucher, like, I think that's a solid 1v1. I think there's a case to be made that, Boucher outscores Plumlee. So, but I also probably feel like Boucher's higher owned. How about completely stacking Toronto-Charlotte game? I think there's a lot of full stackable games. I can't remember the last time we saw a lot of games just feature bottom 10 defenses going at it. For instance, we talked about Raptors and Hornets. I think you could 3v3 stack this. I think the Hornets are a little bit more volatile just because Devontae Graham's back in the mix and the prices are a little bit stretchy. But I still think like Aaron Baines, Norman Powell, Lowry all have juice there. Boucher has juice. So there's four very viable Raptors. There's a little bit of narrative on DeAndre Bembry. And even Stanley Johnson just got a chip in a chair at that price point considering the matchup. And it's just a 2-point spread. And the same with the Hawks. This is a 4-point spread, near 240 total. We got high predictive value and minute projections for these guys. So I definitely think several game stacks. The Blazers, T-Wolves, like, if you're a 20-50 lineup guy, yeah, put some game stacks out there, and maybe one of these games just gets crazy and goes to like double overtime. Because man, oh man, are we? I can't remember the last time we've seen so many bad defenses against bad defenses. So yeah, I definitely think it's a viable strategy to game stack the Raptors Hornets game, but I also feel like it's viable for the Blazers, T-Wolves, and the Hawks and Kings. I mean, all season long, I've just been stacking against Kings and counting money, so that's not going to stop today. 4v4, I don't know if I'm 4v4. 3v3 is my game stack. I'm not 4v4ing. Plumlee had 51 FanDuel points against Brooklyn in their last meeting. Yeah, Plumlee's fine. I like centers against the Nets. The Nets are really, really porous at rebounding. But I would maybe put a little context to that, right? Let's double check that there, Mike. DKP by game log versus Nets last 5 games. I just want to see if like somebody was out. You know what I'm saying, Mike? That was on February 9th. So we want to see if like a DeLon Wright or a Jeremy Grant or somebody like that maybe didn't play. So the Pistons had Jeremy, they had Grant, they had Wright, they had Blake in. So everyone was in. So I guess there's really no reason to walk backwards on that. And that game, Plumlee had 7 assists, which on the day probably felt anomalic. But now that he's a couple of triple doubles in, that's not crazy. Maybe the minutes are a little up there, 38. I feel like there's a chance 38 could be a little bit on the extreme side. maybe I'm worried about 30 minutes right now. But they still don't have Okafor, right? So it's just, Okafor's out. Isaiah Stewart has kind of carved a role in for, 20 minutes? I don't hate Isaiah Stewart either, by the way. Did Isaiah Stewart play this game? Isaiah Stewart didn't. Or he did play. He played 10 minutes. So Isaiah Stewart maybe gets 10 of those 38 minutes. But I'm fine with Mason Plumlee. I just do worry about him being a 28-minute guy sometimes. But I'm absolutely fine with Plumlee today. What do we got? We got one game left on the docket. The Suns hosting the Pacers. Before we do that, take a pause for the cause. Get a couple plugs out the way. One of our better sponsors that help keep the lights on here at the YouTube channel, PrizePicks. If you guys haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. We're also doing a promotion. Our boy Russ Miller sponsored 10-month passes to give away at rundfs.com. So to come up with creative ways to award them out to you guys. And one of the ways we're going to do it, anyone who signs up for PrizePicks using code GUNDACKER and makes a qualifying deposit and plays will be entered into a drawing for one, maybe two of the month passes. So if you guys haven't tried PrizePicks, you need a reason to try it. One, they're going to instantly match your initial deposit up to $100 if you use code GUNDACKER when you sign up. And two, you can win a month pass at rundfs.com, which would unlock a 24/7 premium Discord access, my proprietary spreadsheets, projections, player pools, all that good stuff. And then we have baseball on April 1. So a month pass in the next week would cover the first the first week or two of baseball. And I definitely am very proud of my baseball spreadsheet, my baseball knowledge. And I would definitely love to see a lot of you guys make the transition into baseball because a lot of times baseball doesn't get the love that these other sports get, and it's such a beautiful, fun game for me to sweat. So check out PrizePicks.com. When you sign up, you could send me a screenshot on Twitter, but every day they send me a report on people that signed up using code GUNDACKER, and I'm going to put all those names. Even if you've already signed up, I'll go ahead and put your name in the drawing as well, and maybe like a week or so we'll draw one or two depending on how many people sign up using code GUNDACKER. And then also, we have struck a deal with the Sports Battle app, which is app only on phone right now. They're going to do a similar instant deposit bonus up to $100. But they're also just going to give you $10 for signing up. The code for that is just GUN, G-U-N. So $10 just for signing up using code GUN, and then an instant deposit bonus up to $100 as well. So a lot of cool deals and opportunities going on right now with our stuff, right? You guys are hooking it up, growing the channel, and because the channel's growth, companies are reaching out to us and trying to partner, sponsor, and support. So shout out to you guys. Crispy, what's up, Gun? That Embiid injury hurt me worse than it looked. Yeah, the injury sucked, but it was also a blowout too, right? But yeah, 40 fantasy points in 20 minutes, he was going for it. Kovo with no love. Robert Covington, I think Covington, the minutes will certainly be there for Covington. We've seen him play some backup center minutes as well. And yeah, for attacking that game, 35 minutes of Robert Covington definitely could get you there. Harden versus Doncic, same price on Yahoo, 1v1. I think it comes down to your personal gut on what you think. Like the Nets game was a double-digit spread. Like if you think the Nets rout the Pistons, then maybe you take Doncic in a more competitive game. I kind of feel like I want more Harden than Doncic, but maybe there's not really like a reason for it. I just kind of feel like Harden at home. They do have fans in the Barclays Center. I don't know if they got fans in Denver yet. I just feel like I want a little bit more Harden than Doncic, but that's more of like a gut feeling than statistical feeling. Doncic in the altitude on the road. If that game's projected to be way more competitive, it's a 1 point spread. So if the process might suggest Doncic, but I'm probably leaning Harden. Do you like any of these 10K studs on FanDuel? Feels more like a mid-range balance night. I definitely. When I think about Damian Lillard, I kind of think of him as 10K. He's what 9.9. I think Damian Lillard. I'd be stunned if he got less than 50 tonight against the T-Wolves. And I think he has potential to go, 60 plus. But like if you just mean in general, like the Lucas, the Hardens, the Giannis, guys like that, I don't really have pushback on their matchups today individually. I just think the access to them isn't what it was yesterday. I think the value yesterday just made us able to go grab like just some crazy names, and I think like value today really just kind of depends on I've got some of these 10K guys like if Jokic doesn't play. So if I go to the spreadsheet, sort greatest value plays from my soft projections at like 2 p.m. See who was up here, because I haven't really like maybe Aaron Baines is somebody I'm digging as a value play. But look at my top value plays are guys that are not cheap, 6'6", 7'3". I don't have the crazy value so far that I felt like I had yesterday. So maybe I think just by default I'm going to end up more balanced. But it's not to say I don't like the 10K guys. I just don't have the access to them construction wise, if that makes sense. Like Rocco and Melo, I think they're fine. I think Melo. I'd be a little less on Melo than Rocco just on the minute seesaw, but they're both fine. Main event tonight, Pacers and the Suns. It's a 10 p.m. tip-off. Pacers on night 2 of a back-to-back. Project 35 for the Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon, Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner taking on Chris Paul. Devin Booker is questionable. McCall Bridges, Frank Kaminsky, DeAndre Ayton. 224 total, 7-point spread. Favor the home team Suns. Not much for me to love about the Pacers. I will say I think Brogdon's still a little bit too cheap, and I felt that way last night. Where mid-30s is fine. Definitely a tough matchup overall. Devin Booker's status is certainly impactful because if he doesn't play, he represents 25 real points per game for them, and they would have to probably make up that scoring. And maybe we lean on Ayton. So we're gonna do some digging here. First of all, I want to get you guys the official injury report for Phoenix and kind of get the update on Devin Booker. I don't have an update on NBC Sports. Is there a blurb on Booker on the sites? Booker, King Booker. He's probable with a left knee sprain, so that's why I don't have it. So looks like he's good to go. He's 7'7", 7'9". So in the world of tournament pivots and leverage, Devin Booker over Norman Powell takes some cajones. But I guess there is a world where he outscores outscores Norman Powell. I obviously will have way more Norman Powell just for the floor ceiling ratio. But I don't think I like this game. This definitely feels like one of the least compelling games on the slate. Like so many games with bottom 10, bottom 5 defenses going at it. This is actually a game that just, Pacers catching a bad break, night 2 of a back-to-back, and the Suns are a slow-paced, grindy defense at home. They're really, really good. I don't really see a matchup that's just an egregious mismatch. The price and minutes on Brogdon and Sabonis is a maybe. Karis LeVert's scheduled to make his debut. That's 19 minutes that could eat into maybe 15 minutes that could eat into the upside of some of these other cats. I just don't really have a reason to like this game. And for that reason, I'm out. I don't got nothing here. Chat, you guys got anybody specifically that you love? I suppose if you thought this game stays competitive, there's still a case for Chris Paul to drop 40 fantasy points at this price, but I just don't have an affliction here, right? See what you guys got in the live chat. Tall says you like Stanley Johnson on DK for value. So guys like Stanley Johnson, DeAndre Bembry, like those are probably the cheapies that you can just chip and share the minutes that we project for them. But Stanley Johnson, Tony Snell, like all those guys could easily get you less than 20. And usually if you're going to get less than 20 fantasy points, you're not going to go a long way in tournaments. Is DeAndre Ayton a thing? I think centers against the Pacers do a lot better than publicly perceived. I know Damian Jones didn't play much last night, but Montrezl Harrell got 30 minutes, and he got 30 fantasy points. This has just been a point per minute plus spot against the Pacers. And they also allow a decent chunk of blocks per game. So maybe Ayton at 6'3" could be a sneaky late-night hammer, but I just feel like we I don't know. I just feel like this team has been so well spread out that no one just profiles extremely, extremely well. But that's just like if I'm splitting hairs trying to grab a name. And at 6'3", we're just playing Mason Plumlee, right? All right, chat. What do you guys got? Any lasting questions, comments, concerns? After this, I will be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. If you guys want to hang out with me, go to RunDFS.com, make yourself an account, and you'll get access to the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. We'll be right here in the NBA voice chat right at the 2 hours before lock. Chatting it up, chilling it, carving out our player pool. It looks like some cats sweating the early game. Lou Dort had 28.5 DKP with Ty Jerome at 25 and a quarter. Played 69 minutes, did he? Okay, buddy. I guess the DK Live app is broken and it put some dumb minutes on some of these guys. But RunDFS.com, make yourself an account, click VIP passes, get signed up, and come hang out with us, man. Come make some new friends in the DFS space. We're all cool cats. We got a lot of big-time winners in the Discord. Just in the last year alone, we've seen 100K binks. Really, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen 100K binks in the Discord. Then, of course, last December, ABP won the Millie Maker in this December, the first week of December. So there's a lot of really, really smart, knowledgeable cats. And even if you're balling on a budget, we got guys grinding these single entries, the quarter arcade, stuff like that. So no matter what contest you play, or what site you play, we got guys grinding it out, looking to make each other sharper and keep each other on point. Do you like Enes Kanter? Yes, I like the thought of him. In practicality, like when I start making lineups, Kanter's not likely to be one of my top 3 owned centers, but he'll be in the player pool without a doubt. If I had a ranked center right now on DraftKings, my top 2 owned centers are likely going to be Chris Boucher and Clint Capella. And then when I start expanding a little bit, I'm going to have Mason Plumlee in the mix. And then maybe Kanter knocking on the door. Maybe Towns obviously will be flirting right there in the top 5 as well. So I have to see what the ownership exposure started leveling out. But center, I think, is a really, really fun position tonight, and we actually have options at just about every price range because we even have Aaron Baines, who I think is a fine shot at his price point on both sides. So I think center is really, really valuable tonight and might be the key to the slate, just because I think there's something at every price range. Yeah, that's it, man. You guys got anything else? What's tomorrow looking like? NBA schedule for Manana. Do we do a Sunday stream, though? Tomorrow, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 games tomorrow, and it looks like the main slate could be 6 games if they start at 6. There's a 5:30 game for some reason. I'm not sure what the main slate's going to look like tomorrow, but there's plenty of basketball tomorrow. I'd probably say with this broken schedule, maybe don't expect a live stream tomorrow. But there will still be some coverage in VIP. There might be a live stream, but don't hold my feet to the fire. We'll see. If they do a regular slate lock, maybe we'll come back at you. Twitter.com/Gundacker. If you guys are on Twitter, hit me up. DMs are open. Otherwise, I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP. And I'll carve out some more month pass giveaways. You guys are crushing it, man. I do appreciate you guys making part of my day be part of your day. I mean that. And I hope you guys win all of the money tonight. And if we don't stream tomorrow, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. And we'll definitely be here Monday, but we might be here tomorrow. I'm off to the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. That's it, right? Good luck. God bless. Go win some money. Love you guys.